V is for vegan, V is for victory. Yeah! It's vegan for the win! As we are in the very start of a new decade, I want to celebrate all the amazing things that happened in animal rights in the last decade that have gotten us to this point. The 2010s have been a great time for animals as a vegan lifestyle, not just diet, has taken off exponentially worldwide. So as we are starting the 20s, I am going to go one step further and give you 21 victories animal rights has seen in the last 10 years. For all things vegan, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking that big red subscribe button. Number 1, Google Trends. In this day and age, you can really see how much exposure and popularity something has by turning to the internet. According to Google Trends, search for the term veganism has massively increased worldwide. On a scale of 0 to 100, with 100 being peak popularity for a term, the word veganism was ranked at 15 in 2010, and by the end of 2019, it shot up to 95, with Australia, Israel, New Zealand, United Kingdom, and Canada being the top 5 countries to search for the term. 2 is social media and documentaries. So what is it that's really made veganism explode in the last 10 years? We can look to Instagram. The social media website has been showing people how easy and delicious veganism can be since it launched in 2010 and really took off in popularity in 2012. With hashtags like what vegans eat and vegan for the animals, people were really able to visually see why they should be vegan and how delicious it actually is. Another is documentaries, which people share footage and talk about on social medias such as Instagram. Forks Over Knives, Vegucated, Blackfish, The Ghosts in Our Machines, Cowspiracy, What the Health, Dominion, The Game Changers. These are just some of the documentaries that have helped people on their vegan journey. On top of this, animal rights went mainstream with the action-adventure Netflix film Okja. The film included A-list actors like Jake Gyllenhaal and Tilda Swinton, and the internet exploded with people wanting to go vegan. Were you one of them? So other than those kind of generic statistics, the rest of this video is broken up into sections of how animals are used. So first, I'm going to talk about animals that are used for food and the victories that we have won for them. After all, when people think about veganism and animal rights, they think about food, although it's much more than that. 3, plant-based milk. Over the past 10 years, the global plant-based milk market has exploded from 7 billion in 2010 to over 16 billion in 2019. Remember in 2010 when you were lucky to go to the grocery store and find a small shelf with some soy milk on it? Now you can find milk made from cashews, hemp, coconut, rice, oat, almonds, all kinds of dairy-free milks that are really changing the game for animals in the dairy industry. So much so that big dairy corporations like Dannon invested $60 billion in plant-based beverages in 2018 when they acquired White Wave Foods. White Wave Foods owns Silk, So Delicious Dairy Free, and Vega. And Vega. 4, another big thing that's been taking animals off people's plates is actually meat. Plant-based meat, of course, with the Beyond Burger and Impossible Burger. Let me know in the comments below which is your favorite. With both of those burgers debuting in 2016, consumers and companies have really taken notice, with both brands being sold at a variety of restaurants, fast food chains, and even some grocery stores. Even big animal ag companies like Tyson are seeing the green in veganism. In 2017, Tyson owned a 5% stake in Beyond Meat and invested $150 million in meat substitute startups. And in 2019, Beyond Meat became the first vegan meat company to go public and sell stocks. Number 5, farmers. It's not just consumers and companies that are looking towards plant-based solutions. Even farmers have seen their lives and businesses improve when they've changed from animal agriculture to plant-based agriculture or to farm sanctuaries. And people always think farmers will be out of a job. In 2015, Renee King Sonnen, who had just recently gone vegan, convinced her multi-generational cattle ranching husband to transform their Texas ranch into an animal sanctuary. Their story went viral and they soon started the Rancher Advocacy Program to help other ranchers transform their lives and farms into a compassionate way of living. Another story, this one just in, from 2016. A 100-year-old dairy company, Elmhurst Dairy, whose products were sold at Starbucks in Manhattan and 1,400 public schools, reinvented itself into a plant milk startup, citing dairy as no longer economically viable. I've linked many more stories in the description below of former animal farmers who went vegan and changed their business model to fit their lifestyles. Number 6, cell-based agriculture. In 2013, the first burger made of cultured meat was presented at a conference in London by Maastricht University professor Mark Post and Google co-founder Sergey Brin, costing a whopping $330,000 for the burger. In 2016, Memphis Meats unveiled the first cultured meat meatball, costing $18,000 a pound. And then in 2017, they launched clean chicken nuggets and duck at $6,000 a pound. One of the biggest challenges companies have been facing is what to call it. Clean meat, lab-grown meat, in vitro meat, motherless meat. As of this video, most companies have landed on cultured meat. While there are over 24 companies working to make animal meat without animal suffering a reality and affordable, in August of 2019, the Alliance for Meat, Poultry, and Seafood Innovation was formed by 5 cultured meat startups, working with government regulators to create a pathway for market. As of now, the company Mosa Meat, co-founded by Mark Post, who we talked about earlier, is hoping to have cultured meat burgers on the market for around $10 by 2021. 7. Prop 12. With social media and documentaries showcasing the horrors that animals have to go through in animal agriculture, it's no wonder that in 2018, the world's strongest farm animal protection law, Proposition 12, was passed in California. Through this law, the sale of animal products from animals in extreme confinement, such as gestation crates, veal crates, and small cages, is illegal in the state no matter where it was produced. Now, while this is definitely an issue of welfare versus liberation, many animal activists argue that this law is a step in the right direction and will grant even some semblance of comfort to animals that are already in the system. And it'll make it harder for big ag to sell their products, with even Ken Klippen from the National Association of Egg Farmers fearing it would push consumers to a vegan diet. That's right, Ken. That's right. Number 8, foie gras. In 2014, India became the world's first and only country to ban the import of foie gras. This is huge because while some countries have banned the production of foie gras, such as Australia, the UK, Italy, Norway, in all those places, you're still able to import it. As far as the US is concerned, after much controversy over California's 2012 ban on foie gras, reaching all the way up to the Supreme Court, the law was upheld and now it is illegal in the state to sell it. In 2019, New York also signed a ban on the sale of foie gras, which will be upheld starting in 2022. Number 9, dog meat. Between 2015 and 2019, the Humane Society International has helped shut down over 24 dog meat farms and has helped over 2,000 dogs find forever homes in the US, the UK, Canada, and the Netherlands. With attitudes towards dogs changing in the country, a poll taken in 2018 shows that 70% of South Koreans say they will not eat dog meat in the future. Now let's look at some milestones granted for animals used in testing. Number 10, dissection in public schools. In 2011 and 2013, New York and Connecticut joined the 9 other states in enacting student choice laws for dissection in public schools. With these laws, students are legally protected to refuse to participate in animal dissection and are then given a humane assignment instead. Number 11, the military. In 2011, animal use in chemical warfare training ended as the last military facility in the world that still tested on animals, the US Army's Aberdeen Proving Grounds, agreed to stop poisoning monkeys and instead switch to human-like simulators. Then in 2014, the Pentagon determined that suitable simulation alternatives can replace the use of live animals in 6 major medical educational programs. All branches of the military were ordered to fully transition in these areas by 2015. As far as combat training is concerned, in 2017, the U.S. Coast Guard became the first branch of the military to stop shooting, stabbing, and killing live animals in trauma training drills. Number 12, the National Institute of Health and Chimpanzees. In 2013, the National Institute of Health retired 310 of its 360 chimpanzees used for experimentation to reputable sanctuaries. In 2015, the NIH decided to release the 50 remaining chimpanzees to sanctuaries. And the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services classified captive chimpanzees as endangered, joining classification with their wildlife counterparts and prohibiting invasive experiments on them. 13. Cosmetic testing. In 2013, the European Union and Israel's ban on animal-tested cosmetics officially took full effect. This means that no matter where it was produced, no product sold in the EU or Israel can have been tested on animals at any time in its production. This was huge worldwide. Some might say it exploded as many countries followed suit. In 2014, India became the first country in Asia to ban all cosmetic testing on animals and the import of tested cosmetics. In the US, California, Nevada, and Illinois all passed humane cosmetic legislation in 2018 and 2019, which banned the sale of animal-tested cosmetics. Then, the new Humane Cosmetic Act was introduced to both the Senate and the House. Number 14, the EPA. In 2019, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency announced it would stop funding and requesting all tests on mammals by 2035, and they would fund the development of non-animal testing methods. Now let's look at animals that are used for clothing. As far as furs and skins are concerned, leaving them on the animals they came from was a major trend in the later part of the decade. 15. Exotic materials. By 2018, over 330 brands, which included The Gap, H&M, Zara, and Gucci, had announced that they were done with Angora wool when a 2013 PETA expose showed the horrors inflicted on bunnies when their hair is literally pulled from their skin. Also in 2018, Chanel became the first high-end brand to ban exotic leathers from crocodiles and snakes. Number 16, fur. In 2016 and 2017, some big-name designers like Michael Kors, Versace, Gucci, Burberry, Giorgio Armani, to name a few, had all announced that they were ditching fur, with Prada being the latest high-end brand to announce they were doing so in their spring and summer collection of 2020. In fact, compassion was so in vogue that in 2018, the London Fashion Week was fur-free for the first time. And in 2019, Queen Elizabeth II announced that she was ditching fur. While many countries have a ban on fur farming, in 2019, California became the first state to not only ban the manufacturing, but also the sale of fur, starting in 2023. Last but certainly not least, let's look at the great strides the 2010s saw for companion animals and animals in entertainment. Number 17, Pet Supplier Raid. In 2010, over 26,000 animals were rescued from a pet store supplier, U.S. Global Exotics, in Arlington, Texas, after a PETA expose showed horrific living conditions and cruelty. Believed to be the biggest animal confiscation in history, the animals, which included hedgehogs, hamsters, chinchillas, snakes, frogs, among many other species, were awarded to the city, and many organizations stepped up to help properly care for the animals. Number 18, pet mills. In 2018, California became the first state to ban the sale of dogs, cats, and bunnies in pet stores that come from mills. The law states that these stores must obtain these animals from rescues and shelters. After this, 6 other states considered such legislation, with Maryland following through and enacting the same ban on January 1st of this year. 19. SeaWorld. In 2016, SeaWorld announced that it would end all breeding of its orcas, and it would phase out all shows which force orcas to perform. Number 20, Greyhound Racing. In 2018, Florida passed a ban on Greyhound Racing, which goes into full effect this year and will shut down 11 racetracks, leaving only 8 left in the country. Last but not least, 21, circuses. Within the decade, 26 countries joined Bolivia, who was the first to do so in 2009, in banning wild animals in circuses. Countries include Peru, Greece, Singapore, Mexico, and even England was the latest to do so. In 2017, Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus had its final curtain call as attendance dwindled. The industry giant used bull hooks, electric prods, separated babies from their mothers, all of which is common in wild animal training, and had to pay a $270,000 fine for violating the Animal Welfare Act. The circus producer Feld Entertainment was reluctant to say where all the animals would go, but did say that they found permanent homes for all of the animals, with the elephants going to an animal sanctuary, and with the tigers going to a facility that specializes in tigers and is closed to the public. In 2018, New Jersey and Hawaii became the first states to ban all wild animal acts in circuses and traveling shows. So that's all I could fit into this video, but there were many more victories for animals, big and small, throughout the decade. And if you know of more, please put it in the comments below because I would love to read about it. With all that said, we still have a long way to go to give animals the peace and life that they deserve. But I hope that looking back on the last 10 years has given you hope and motivation to keep fighting, and that the next 10 years will see even more victories for animals. Vegan victory! I'll see you next time.